Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today, inshallah, everyone, we will complete our lesson. Lesson 1 in Unit 3, which is talking about living organisms diversity and the principles of their classification. As I said before, I will talk about two parts in this lesson. Number 1, diversity of living organisms, and number 2, classification of living organisms. Number 1, diversity. As I said before, we will talk about animals, plants, and microorganisms. Okay? Diversity of living organisms between brackets animals according to 4 points: shape, size, way of feeding, and environment where they live. Again, diversity of animals according to the shape and way of feeding. We will not talk about this part in details, okay? Only I will talk about the size and environment where they live. Number 1, diversity of living organisms, animals according to their size. I have two parts in this, or two types: small animals and big animals. Small animals, this is like rabbit, rat, and lizard. And number 2, big animals, we said before, like rhinoceros and elephant. Okay? Yes. Number 2, the environment where they live. Number 1, I have animals live in water, like fish, crocodile, hippo, and the others live on land, like horse, donkey, lion, dog, cat, and whatever. From the animals live on land. Okay? Number 2, I will talk about diversity of plant according to the size of the plant and the size of its leaves. The size of the plant, all the plant, I have two divisions here. We have huge trees like camphor and palm trees. If you can see this picture, okay, camphor and palm trees. This is related to the huge trees, okay? And number 2, short weeds. And remember, short weeds like gargir and clover. Gargir and clover, okay? Yes. I said what? Diversity in the plant according to, yes, the size of the plant. And number 2, the size of its leaves. The size of its leaves. We have here in size of leaves, large leaves and small leaves. Plants carry large sized leaves and others carry small sized leaves. Okay? Large leaves here like banana tree, okay, or banana plant. This banana plant carry large sized leaves. And look here carry what? Carry this plant carry small sized leaves, as you can see here in this picture. Okay? Yes. Now I have a question. If I ask you, complete animals, number 1, complete number 1. Animals differ from each other in many characters, such as, yes, as we said before, the shape, the size, and the way of feeding or environment where they live. Remember this word, differ. Differ equal diversity. Differ equal diversity. Animals may be big as elephant or small as rat and rabbit. Okay. Number 4, dots and dots are from huge tree. So this is the way Prep 1 in this part. This is the way. How can I ask you in this part? Complete dots and dots are from huge trees, palm tree and camphor. Okay. And here we have dots instead of this word clover. Dots, and dots are from short weeds. Yes, excellent. Clover and gorgier. Okay. Yes. Return back again. Diversity in living organisms, which are called microorganisms. But first, what is meant by microorganisms? Microorganisms, they are living organisms, okay? So here microorganisms are living organisms. These living organisms can't be seen. We cannot see it by naked eye, by our eye. But only we can see them under the microscope. And this is the picture of microscope. Microscope is a tool help us to see microorganisms clearly, okay? And they spread everywhere around us, in air, water, and even the soil. This is microorganisms. So if I have a drop of bond water, as I said yesterday, and put it under the microscope, I can see what inside it. I can see types of microorganisms, okay? Microorganisms. And all of them are unicellular. Unicellular. What is the meaning of unicellular? Unicellular here equal their bodies have only one cell. Of course, you know that the body of living organism, any body contain millions and a large number or huge number of cells, right? But microorganisms or unicellular, their bodies contain only one cell, okay? So that we named it by unicellular organisms. I can see what in this bond water, in the drop of one drop of bond water, we can see microorganisms like amoeba, euglena, and paramecium, okay? Amoeba, euglena, paramecium, they are microorganisms. Microorganisms. They are different between each other. But in what? As you can see here, amoeba, euglena, and paramecium. Amoeba, euglena, paramecium. They are different in, or amoeba differ from euglena and paramecium in twice. Number one, its shape, and number two, the way of movement, okay? For example, amoeba shape not like paramecium or even euglena, okay? And also the way of movement, amoeba move by pesopods, while euglena by flagellum, and paramecium by the cilia. So they are different, okay? Amoeba differ from paramecium and euglena. Paramecium differ from amoeba and euglena in the way of movement, and number two, its shape, okay? By this way, we finish our talking about diversity in living organisms, okay? They are different in what? Plant, animal, and even the microorganisms. Diversity in living organisms, I finished talking about this part. Now we will start a new part, or the second part in this lesson, as I said before, which is the classification of living organisms. Classification means what? Classification here means order or order. Wait. The classification again means what? Classification means order. I arrange these living organisms and put them in groups, okay? And put them in what? In groups. طيب, why prep 1 we put the living organisms in groups according to their similarities. يعني ال similar ones I will put it together in one group. Okay, طيب why? To make their study more easy, because I have a huge number of living organisms and we have differences between them. They are different from each other, right? Not all the living organisms are similar, they are different. So we should ease their study, make their study more easy. How? By classifying them, put them in groups. Put them in what? In groups. Okay? So now I will talk about the classification of living organisms. I will start with the plant. Classification of plant. According to what, Junior? Yeah, prep 1, sorry. According to what? According to their shape, the external shape. And now I will talk about the classification of plant according to their external shape. البلانت classified, وخلي بالك كويس قوي من اللي بقوله, classified. Okay, there is a big difference between diversity in plant and the classification of plant. Diversity in plant according to زي ما قلنا قبل كده, according to the size of the plant and the size of its leaves, while the classification of plant according to external shape, the external shape of the plant, and according to the way of reproduction. According to the way of what? Of reproduction. If I have here twice in classification of the plant. Don't mix them together, classification and diversity. تمام? A classification of plant here according to its shape, external shape. I have here two types in this classification. Plant can't be distinguished into roots, stem and leaves. يعني here we can determine where is the stem or where is its root, where is its leaves. Okay, its leaf, where I can determine. So again, plants can be distinguished into roots, stem and leaves like the green, red and brown algae. So I have here algae, three colors or three types: green, red and brown. So green, brown and red, again green, brown and red algae are examples of plant can't be distinguished into roots, stem and leaves, and this is under the classification of plant according to the external shape. Okay, this is green, red and brown algae. Okay, number two, the way of reproduction. Or wait, we forgot the second one. Okay, plant can be distinguished into roots, stem and leaves. I said the plant classify into twice according to the external shape. الexternal shape فيها two types. Plant can't be distinguished and the plant can be distinguished. يعني I can see here the root. For example, palm tree. You remember palm tree? Yes. I can see or determine where is the root, the stem and its leaves. Okay. So palm tree and maize as you can see in the picture, and also the weight, I can or this plant can be distinguished into root, stem and leaves. We can see clearly its root and leaves and also its stem. Okay, so classification of the plant. I will start my classification part with the classification of plant. Classification of plant divided into classification according to the external shape and according to the way of reproduction. Number one, according to external shape, we have two types. Plants can be distinguished into roots, stem and leaves, like the green, red and brown algae. And number two, plants can be distinguished into root, stem and leaves, like wheat, maize and palm tree. Okay. Number two here, the classification according to the way of reproduction. Reproduction here, this word equal produce new individuals, produce new plant. Okay, each plant reproduce to give new plant. Understand? Yes. I have here two ways of reproduction in the plants. Number one, plants reproduce by formation of spores. If I have a type of plant reproduce by formation of spores, they form spores, and these spores in the soil produce another plant or new plant. Okay, so this is a way of reproduction. Plants reproduce by formation of spores, and this type called ferns. This type of plants called ferns. Like what? Like bouger and adiantum. The second type of reproduction here, or the second way of reproduction, is formation of seeds. I have some types of plants reproduce by formation of seeds. This plant form seeds, and these seeds in soil will produce new plant. Okay, so the first type, formation of spores. Spores form new plant. The second type, formation of seeds. Seeds form or become new plant. Okay, and in this way, reproduce by formation of seeds, we have two types: gymnosperm and angiosperm. Okay, please memorize these names well, and don't mix them together. Plants reproduce again by formation of seeds, like gymnosperm and angiosperm. Gymnosperm, they form again their seeds form inside cone. Again their seeds are formed inside cone. As you can see, the pine plant, this is the picture of pine plant. Here its seeds formed inside cone. This is called what? Gymnosperm. Gymnosperm. They seeds are formed inside cone. And another example here, cycas plant. Cycas plant. Okay, so we have two examples on gymnosperm: pine plant and cycas plant. And number two, the angiosperm. Angiosperm, don't forget angiosperm here, middle one, form their seeds inside pericarp. Inside what? Pericarp. What is the meaning of pericarp? Pericarp here equal cover. Pericarp equal cover. So again, I have two types in two types of plants that reproduce by formation of seeds: gymnosperm and angiosperm. Okay, gymnosperm, seeds of this plant formed inside cone. Gymnosperm their seeds are formed inside cone, while angiosperm their seeds formed inside pericarp. Okay, don't forget. طيب again angiosperm that form their seeds inside pericarp, like what? Like beans والpea والwheat والcorn or maize. But here I have a big difference between these examples. Angiosperm divided into two types, monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Monocotyledon and dicotyledon, and both of them, their seeds formed inside pericarp like cover. Okay, this maize or corn, it's a seed. Clearly we can see it clearly here. The seeds are formed inside cover or pericarp. You can see the green pericarp here. Yes, and also here bean plant, it's a seed, or pea plant also, it's a seed formed inside pericarp. Okay, both of them seeds formed inside pericarp, but they are different in angiosperm divided into monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Monocotyledon like maize or wheat, only one seed, one part, while in dicotyledon each seed divided into two parts, as you can see here, like bean plant. If you have a look to the bean plant and hold it by your fingers, you can see that we can divide it. You can divide this plant into two divisions, two parts. So it is called the dicotyledon. Like what? Like the bean plant and pea plant. Bean and pea plant. And also monocotyledon like maize, as you can see in the picture, and the wheat. Wheat that I use it to make the flour, which is used in making the bread. Okay, wheat here, we make the flour that is used in making the bread, as I said. Okay, this is all about the classification in the plant. Classification of plant, again according to, yes, excellent, external shape and the way of reproduction. According to the external shape and the way of reproduction. According to the external shape, they are divided into plants can be distinguished into root, stem and leaves, like the algae, red, green and brown. And other plants can be distinguished into root, stem and leaves, like maize, wheat and palm tree. And number two, the second type of classification here, or the second one, according to the way of reproduction. Plant are classified. Plant are classified into way of reproduction and the external shape. خلاص؟ طيب or according to way of reproduction and the external shape. Number one, external shape, we talked about it. According to the way of reproduction, number two, we have two ways of reproduction in the plant. Plants reproduce by forming or formation of spores, and the others by formation of seeds. Formation of spores here, we have two examples, adiantum and fougere. And fougere and adiantum are called ferns. The type of this type of plant that reproduce by formation of spores, called ferns. Okay, while the plant that reproduce by formation of seeds, they are divided into gymnosperm and the angiosperm. Gymnosperm, they form their seeds inside cone, while angiosperm form their seeds inside pericarp. Okay, الجيمينوسperm like pine plant, as you can see here, pine plant and cycas plant, while the angiosperm that form their seeds inside pericarp, like maize and wheat under monocotyledon, and like bean and pea under dicotyledon. يبقى الانجيوسبيرم here, angiosperm are plant reproduced by formation of seeds inside pericarp, while gymnosperm they are gymnosperm they are plants form their seed in cone, inside cone. Okay, inside cone. And angiosperm I have two types, as I said, monocotyledon and dicotyledon. Monocotyledon, their seeds, each seed contain only one part, while dicotyledon seed contain or divided into two parts as a bean plant and a pea plant. Okay, next inshallah ya Breb 1 we will talk about the classification in animals. Okay, so I talked about diversity in animals, the plants and the microorganisms, and number 2 I talked about classification in plants, and then next inshallah we will talk about classification in animals. Okay, thank you for your watching.